But the next question is about how can one make their essay seem less descriptive? I know this we have discussed a lot in the modules also. So definitely, what is like some of your tips as to make them more analytical or make our analysis or our novel contribution stand out?
Thank you. So one simple way of doing it is to really code everything you write in terms of the he said, she said, they said, one color, and I said another color, right? So everything that he said, she said, they said, the he, she, or they could be the Supreme Court of India, it could be CRI on constitutional law, it could be Winfield on tort, it could be your professor, it could be the newspaper, it could be Supreme Court senior advocate. That's all he said, she said, they said, right? And when you respond, I don't think that position is right. That's an I said, right? And in your paper, ideally, the he said, she said, they said, and the I said should be balanced. There is no magic formula of 50-50, right? It can change. Sometimes it might be 70-30, sometimes it might be 50-50, right? But there must be a balance and you must be aware of that balance. The reality, if I can just share my own experience, the kind of writer I am, I think I'm exactly like the questioner here. If you give me like 3 hours and you give me 2 pages to write and to research, I'll spend 2.5 hours reading some 25 authors, and then on that page I'll put down everything that they said, and then I'll think of, oh, what should I say, and then my time is over, right? So you and I am mostly descriptive. I'm scared to actually say anything most of the time until I allow myself to realize that, hey, why are you scared? Even if you don't know the answer, just say that I don't know the answer. Maybe this is an answer, right? And so this is the answer to the question as well. How you move from being overly descriptive to having your own original content is nothing more or nothing less than a process of discovering your own voice. And in studies of writing and research, you'll see that this is referred to as a two-part process, which is identifying your frame or your gaze, right? Which is basically, how are you seeing the world? How are you seeing the world? You in particular. And you will be the only person in the world who is seeing it like that. What is your frame to see the world? And that frame might be applying to anything. It might be applying to the Kashmir issue, or it might be applying to the Armed Forces Special Act, or it might be applying to the principle of unjust enrichment, right? Or it might be applying to exceptions in copyright law. It doesn't matter. But what is your frame or your perspective or your gaze, right? How are you seeing it? And what is your voice to describe it? So it comes back to basic parts of the body. How are you seeing with your eyes? So what is your authorial gaze? And what is your authorial voice? Right? And this process of beginning to see for yourself, so it's actually nothing less than your eyes opening for the first time. Right? Because otherwise it's all other kinds of lenses are there. Foucault said this, Bentham said this, my professor said this, the law octopus material said this, right? All of these are normally in some ways blocking your vision. So for the first time, you're like, I see it. That's so wrong. That's so right. Hey, that's a great possibility. That's a good growth of the law. That's so complicated, right? You see it for the first time and it actually registers. And then you get the voice, the vach, the boli, right? To describe that. And that again has to come from you, right? So the process is nothing less than like someone who's shy of being a theater actor getting comfortable with appearing stupid the first time, right? Stammering, stuttering, being too soft, being too fast, forgetting your lines. That same journey has to happen even as someone who's writing. And for that to happen, you have to give yourself the space for that to happen. You have to give yourself the You have to be compassionate with yourself, right? You can't say, oh, I tried it and people laughed and that's it. I'm never going to be a good writer, right? Because it will take a lot of practice for you to get confident, for others to recognize the value. Most importantly, you need to give yourself that safe community, which this arguably is a safe community, right? Because why are we here? We are all interested in research and writing. We're here to learn and we're here to help each other, right? And you should try and make your classes, your law schools, your universities safe spaces for this. But even without institutional structures, all you need is one or two friends or co-learners, right? Who are willing to tell you that reads well, that doesn't read well. You're being too overconfident or you're being too humble. Like everything, it's always a question of balance. You can't be, I mean, without having done any great work, if you act like you're the all-seeing, all-knowing God, your reader will be like, who's this pompous researcher and writer? He's been working on this topic for 3 months. I wrote my book after researching for 20 years. And she said, and then she slammed my book just like that. This is rubbish, right? That's how people will respond to. But if you're too humble, even if you have a good point, you're like, actually, it's fully wrong. And there's nothing I really have to say. But since you want me to say something, actually, I won't say it. But okay, yeah, I propose. People by then will already be like, oh, there's no confidence here. So having that right balance, right? And again, the touchstone for this is to be as authentic as possible, right? Remember what I said. There is no, in my worldview, there's no truth out there to be pulled out, right? It's all a question of persuading your reader, persuading your opponent, persuading the judge that your point of view deserves consideration, is a good solution for the problem at hand. So authenticity, right? Being honest. This is what I think. I might be wrong. And I've come up with this opinion based on this kind of research. What do you think? Even moving from propositions with full stops to questions with question marks, right? You don't need to know everything. You can, even raising questions is a good way of being original. You don't have to always provide answers. In fact, the really good researcher is the one who raises questions, if you ask me, right? And my philosophically, someone like Heidegger will say the piety is in the question. The question is more important than the answer. So finding good questions to ask is half the job of being a good scholar and a good researcher. And even in your writing, you can have that. I'm not answering everything, I'm raising questions. So through this process, what did I say? I said, one, you really need to, again, stop thinking of the world, stop thinking of what others might think of you, but actually breathe with ease and say, how am I seeing this? What words are coming to my mouth when I want to describe it? What words are coming to my pen or pencil when I'm trying to give space for my voice to emerge? Two, you need to practice, especially practice as much as you can in the draft, pre-draft, and the note stage. Share it, get feedback, and finally be okay with being tentative, being speculative. And all of this, you'll realize you need to do it only when, like the questioner, you look at something you've written and you try and code it. He said, she said, they said, and I said, and you discover that there's very little I said, or there's too much I said. Too much I said is also a problem. That means you haven't done your research into who else has worked on the topic, right? You're just going there on a soapbox and launching off without having done the hard work of seeing who else has written on